Hello, how are you? Welcome to Sky Bet League 2, a roundup of it from Not the Top 20 podcast, sponsored by Sky Bet and the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund. We start with a 0-0, Chesterfield 0, Bromley 0, a match in which plenty happened, actually, including an 89th minute penalty save from Zach Hemming to deny Nicky Kabamba and ending Bromley's absurd winning streak. Both sides had at least two other big chances in the game, so it really was quite an entertaining 0-0 draw. The big one outside of that was Swindon against Salford. Now, last week on the mid-season predictions pod, we both picked Salford to finish in the top three. We both had Swindon dropping out of it. So, Swindon 2, Salford 3 was a huge win for us, but also for Salford City. For Carl Robinson, it was his 800th game in management, and it brings Salford level on points with Swindon and with Walsall as well. All three of them locked together on 46 in second, third and fourth, just as it was in the reverse fixture, 3-2. Another crazy game between these two teams who play on Tuesday night again in the FA Cup third round after that game was called off the other weekend. They both scored near post flick-ons from set pieces. Turton for Salford, McGregor for Swindon. In between that, the goal of the game and a beautiful goal. Jorge Grant, on the ball deep in midfield, spots Ryan Graydon making a run from deep, beats the offside trap, just drops it over the top. And there's Kelly Namai sprinting in behind at the back post. Graydon sees him, rolls it across for the tap-in. Really good football from Salford. Quite a lot of Swindon pressure in the second half. Probably against the run of play. Salford went 3-1 up. Haji Mnoga bulldozes through. Udo gets it and squares for Callum Cisse for 3-1. Salford have a lot of very good players, and they came to play here. There was a nice assist from Swindon's new attacker, Holman, youngster that they signed on a permanent from Wolves. He set up Aaron Drinan for a great headed goal. This is pretty astounding.
Okay.
Drinan has 20 goals in all comps this season in 24 games. He has scored in his last 4 in the league, but he has missed 5 games through suspensions this season. So 20 and 24, but it could be even better. It could be even more if it weren't for those 2 red cards that he picked up. Really entertaining game. Lots of good quotes afterwards from both Robinson and Holloway. Obviously, Holloway's got over 1,000 games under his belt. Robinson, 800. Lots of mutual love and respect and good quotes all round, and hoping for another cracker on Tuesday night in the third round with Man City waiting in the fourth round. Walsall, I mentioned, George, they are sandwiched between Swindon and Salford, all on 46. They got a good result at Tranmere.
They did indeed, and there was a debutant really showing, I think, what an important player he could be for Walsall this season, in Alex Pattinson, who signed from Bradford, a player that we've seen in the past just be a very, very direct player, and given that we know him. That when he's really good, he's so good, and we know that Walsall are a team that don't like to dilly-dally on the ball. When they get on it, they like to be direct and get forward quickly. The first goal came from a set piece from Farquharson, and we know how good they are at set pieces, but the second goal was the one where Patterson really showed what he's going to be capable of. Winning the ball high and immediately getting into Kanu, and Kanu finishing off, like just a bit of energy, a bit of industry, getting hold of the ball, winning it high, and then playing on the quality pass to Kanu, who we know is so good at finishing those chances off. The third goal provided a moment I was a bit confused by. Again, I think Jedis gets the ball on the left-hand side, plays it inside to Patterson. What does Patterson do? Just runs forward with it, as we know he does. And then he shifts it out wide to the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And it's not a set piece.
Right.
I don't know what's happened here.
It's gone out to the right wing-back, I imagine.
No, it's gone out to Aidan Flint.
Flinty.
Aidan Flint is just standing where you would think the right winger is going to be. And not only is he standing there, he controls it. He gets his head up. He just swings in this ball to Jamil Matt to head home at the back post.
Beckham style.
I was so confused. I then went on SofaScore, where they have heat maps and they can tell you where a player basically is. And I was like, maybe for some reason Flint was playing right side of the 3, and therefore he was given license to overlap. No, all game Flint was by far and away the deepest Walsall player. He was playing in the middle of the 3. He is about 5 yards off everyone else in terms of average position. And for some reason on the heat map, there was this weird little yellow dot in that right-hand corner for this one moment. I don't understand how he ended up there. It must have been the third phase after a set piece, but why he's peeled off to that right-hand side, I've got no idea. I love weird things in football.
Let me suggest an alternative. He's been off for treatment and he's just trotted back on. I've got nothing else.
There cannot be many people listening to this who find this as interesting as I do, but I hope you do, because it really blew my mind. Joe Ironside scored late on for Tranmere. I think Walsall and Matt Sadler will probably be quite annoyed that they weren't able to keep a clean sheet, because if they're going to put last season's wrongs to right, they are going to have to be better defensively than they were in the back end of last season. But this was a really good performance. I'm a bit of a doubter about the Sadlers this season, having been a big believer last time. But this kind of felt like them last season. Not much of the ball, efficient in getting it forward when they have it, clinical in finishing their chances when they get in front of goal. And the best news is their star loanman, Carnu, still at the club and still scoring goals.
And Miles Roberts, the goalkeeper, also not recalled, and that's going to be big for them. Great signing, Patterson, really excited about that. Remember that NTT20.com covers every single EFL transfer in morning bulletins sent straight to you, and the team working really hard round the clock to provide the best EFL transfer coverage. So head to NTT20.com to get it. Aki 0, MK Dons 2, a couple of notable performances from MK Dons. January signings, they are just adding more and more quality. The first goal from Ben Wiles. What's he doing in League Two? No one knows. Joined up with his favourite uncle, Paul Warne, under whom he played his best stuff at Rotherham. He ran in behind a ball hooked on. Quite poor from Accrington keeper Wright. You gave him some praise recently, and rightly so.
Thank you.
But he should have just come and cleared this ball away. Instead, he retreated. Wiles got there and threaded it past him for 1-0. You could see Aki's defenders going like, "What? You could have just run forward and." No, okay. The 2-0 goal was from Aaron Collins. Again, back to front very, very quickly. MK winning this fairly comfortably. Curtis Nelson making his debut in the centre of their back line. What's he doing playing in League Two? Same as Ben Wiles, joining up with his favourite uncle Paul Warne, under whom he played at Derby. Their central midfield for this game was Liam Kelly, Alex Gilby and Ben Wiles. It's just pretty absurd. And they won comfortably by 2-0. George, Fleetwood 1, Cambridge 2, means that Cambridge in their last 10 have won 6, drawn 4, lost none. Is that good?
Keep an eye on Cambridge.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're just good. They're always teams every season that we talk about, and you find it very difficult to find more things to say. In League Two, that's normally not the case because teams fluctuate hugely in terms of their performance level. But with Cambridge, it's just like, they're Cambridge. They don't really concede big chances. They generally have enough quality to create a few themselves, and they rarely lose games. And that is, a method to get to success. The first goal was a quite sensational free kick from Suli Kaikai, aided in terms of the aesthetic by cannoning in off the underside of the bar. Enjoying the performances
good.
It was really good. Enjoying the performances of George Hoddle, who I checked, saying he's second cousin to Glenn.
Nice.
A very industrious midfielder who, for a young kid, is putting in some pretty good numbers some pretty good physical numbers in terms of his ball winning ability.
Nice.
And it feels like Cambridge are unearthing a bit of a gem in him. They conceded a penalty, no complaints there, which Ethan Ennis converted before set piece swung in, came out, put back in again, and a bit of a scramble, and it fell to James Gibbons, the Cambridge right back, who finished really well on his weaker foot, left-footed, kind of swivelling, fired into the bottom left-hand corner. A lot of injury time. Ched Evans had an opportunity to make it 2-2, but missed it, meaning that Cambridge win the game 2-1. They're just good. I find it really hard to see a reason why they won't be at the very least in the top 7. I see no reason why they can't challenge for the top 3. They're just you can pick holes in a lot of the teams in the top 7 in League Two in terms of sometimes not being as good as some of their parts and other things. With Cambridge, it just feels like they are well drilled, well oiled, very much a team in the image of Neil Harris, their manager. I thought Mark Bonner spoke very well to me in the written interview we put out on NT20.com about the general transfer activity and the way they look to do things. It's just a club that I think have made some good appointments and are reaping the rewards.
Yeah, Pete Wild seemed a bit down after this one. It's 4 defeats in a row in all comps for Fleetwood. Every time you think that they might make a little tilt at the playoffs. They fall away a little bit, and there they are in 15th now, 8 points off it. And I think maybe a bit of reality setting in that for whatever reason, and obviously it's been a lively couple of years, shall we say, for the ownership of Fleetwood Town. They don't seem to be able to impact the league budget-wise as much as they did last time they were at this level. And I think big demonstration of that was losing Ryan Graydon to Salford and the eye-watering wages being offered by Salford. MK Dons obviously as well, Chesterfield too. I think Fleetwood probably realising that their place in the food chain is a bit lower than maybe they've had it before. Crewe beat Barrow 3-1. Tommy O'Reilly, left peg, edge of the box. That's something that interests me every time it happens. He has an absolute rocket, a cannon of a left peg, and he fired one in early on in this game. A really nice second goal from Crewe. Patient possession at the back, and then 2 punched forward passes. Really good play by Lewis Billington in particular, he's having one of those seasons that Crewe players have when they come through the academy and they get chucked in their first season and they play okay. And then their second season, they get a little bit better and they're still not quite there. And then bang, they have a season where they become essentially a senior player, quite often still when they are very, very young, as Billington is just 21. Really nice pass through to March, who slid it across, and Callum Aegis showing off his quite impressive goal-scoring instincts from what we've seen as a kind of like a wide poacher, finishing off for 2-0. Fletcher scored for Barrow, then March for Crewe. It was 3-1 at half-time, and Crewe actually saw it out pretty well, fairly comfortably, which is unlike recent games against Newport and against Harrogate in particular. So cosy, comfy, not a great first game in the league for Paul Gallagher and Barrow. George Crawley 1, Notts 2. Wow. Wow, Crawley are winless in 11. They've lost 4 straight.
Yeah, you mentioned in the Championship pods about Lyndon Dykes coming to Charlton taking the 99 shirt.
Yeah.
Utter woke nonsense.
You don't like it?
No, but
do you not remember Ronaldo back in the day at Milan, 99?
And Mauro Icardi, famously 99.
Yeah.
For Danilo Orsi to come back into Crawley, where he scored a goal at Wembley to send them into League One. That was a huge part in that incredible season. For him to swan in mid-relegation battle and be like, yeah, I'll have the 99, please. Not for me. I think that might be the kind of most like proper football man conversation we've ever had on the pod, but I stand by it. Yeah, I mean, this is a Crawley team that are now, like, all these players that have been re-signed who played in that Scott Lindsay team previously came back into the side.
They're signing Ronan Darcy as well.
I know, I saw.
They just keep signing players from 2 years ago.
Orsi leading the line without much success. Kladai Lolos, who should be a brilliant player at the bottom end of League 2, sent off in this one.
What on earth was he doing?
I have no idea. Kind of fighting.
Yeah.
It didn't go to plan at all, this. For Scott Lindsay and his side, Notts County, a brilliant goal from Jody Jones, who I didn't recognise with his new hair. But yeah, getting on the ball on the right hand side, cutting into top left hand corner, brilliant finish before Alessandra Jatta finished off a pretty scrappy chance. Harry McCurdy, who was taken out of the team, was brought on and scored a free kick that seemed to take a couple of deflections before it squirmed in the bottom left hand corner. But this was a pretty poor display from Crawley, who I think have shown signs in this poor run of life, but this was a bad one within that. Notts County dealt with it pretty well, won the game with the moment of quality from Jody Jones, the key part here. But Crawley have to be careful, because the moment they're really relying on Harrogate and Newport continuing to be as bad as they are, because if either of those teams come out and run, it feels like Crawley, the team that are right in the sights of them to chase them down. Some
lovely full-time scenes. James Belshaw, who was on the pod a couple of months ago, who told us on that pod that grew up big Notts County fan. His dad, massive Notts County fan, signed for Notts County last week, straight in as number 1. Keller Roos, binned off, sent to Scotland. Massive howler on his debut up in Scotland as well, Notts County fans. Not surprised, it's been a big issue for them this season, and hopefully Belshaw, who's obviously been an excellent player for Harrogate over the last few years, but like Harrogate, had a difficult last couple of months, goes straight in nets, 2-1 win, and some lovely scenes with him in front of the away end, an away end that he would have been in many, many times before, or rather with people that he'd have been in away in ends. I was about to say,
how many times did he go to Crawley away?
I reckon he probably went to Crawley away. Just really, really lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Another away win was Colchester at Bristol Rovers. Absolutely spectacular winning goal from Awura Edwards, 25 yards, left side, right foot, far top corner, power. speed, swerve, just brilliant. Unstoppable, unsavable. Take a bow, son, and I mean that. Former Bristol City player as well, which won't have escaped many of the Rovers fans there. And I think deserved, based on the balance of play. Bristol Rovers really struggling to create much here until they went one down, actually. Collier would hit the post through and Bick. After it was 1-0, then Isaac Hutchinson had a go from range and hit the bar. There was an Ellis Harrison header right at the end, but it just wasn't enough. And with Colchester, like, they're still outside the playoffs. But when you consider that they won one of their first 10 games, they only had one win by the 1st of October. And since then, 31 points from 15, only Bromley better. Why on earth didn't we pick them to finish inside the playoffs in the predictions last week? Like, they are one of the best teams in the league right now, and it's only a slow start, which is way in the rearview mirror before they worked out this style of play, this group of players at the top of the pitch who are so dangerous, this midfield, this defence, which looks pretty good as well.
Sounds like you need to do another predictions podcast.
Should we do another predictions podcast next week?
Predictions.
We had so many people expressing anger at your use of the word redictions.
Do we actually?
That now I'm trying to distance
Should we
myself
do
from
a
it.
Lee Dixons podcast? We get Lee Dixons.
Lee Dixons.
Yeah.
That sounds miserable. So Bristol Rovers, 1 win, 1 draw and 3 defeats under Steve Evans so far. Probably not the return that we thought he would have in his first 5 games, so still lots of work to do there. Now, there is some incredible work being done by Bristol Rovers Community Trust off the pitch, and I saw it firsthand. The Friday before Christmas, there I was at Stoke Gifford Retirement Village. What a place that is, by the way. And I was watching the delivery of a programme that's funded by the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund. Very different to anything that we've seen so far in our travels across the country. This is amazing, really. It was a night of performance from residents of the Stoke Gifford Retirement Village, run by a guy called Costa from Bristol Rovers Community Trust, who is an absolute superstar, just an incredible guy, great performer, and has clearly taught the residents so much, the participants, many of whom had never performed before. These are almost all fairly elderly people, as you'd imagine. And they put on this show of monologues, basically. They were up there. Some of them did them together, but most of them did them on their own, up there in front of a big crowd of their fellow residents at the retirement village. And I spent the whole afternoon and the whole evening with them. Fair to say there was quite a lot of nerves, as you'd imagine. They'd all worked very hard learning their lines, something I remember from school. Like the theme of a lot of the monologues that they did were the realities of being old, basically. Isolation, feeling like they get treated differently now that they're a little bit older and difficulties coping with that. I must admit, it was very, very moving. I certainly learned a lot from everyone that I met that day. But it was also really funny, really inspiring, loads of humour, some great delivery. I just absolutely loved it. Everyone performed brilliantly. Their energy in the room was fantastic. And all of the performers were just buzzing afterwards. I think like the endorphins that you get from performing are pretty special. The community that you get when you work on like theatrical productions with people is always very, very special as well. And it's an amazing thing for Bristol Rovers Community Trust to do. That generation, from what I gather, often feel like they're not listened to or they're not really focused on. They can be set aside a little bit. And I think for the Community Trust to be so active in this way, in that area, helping local residents, is amazing. And they've made a big difference in confidence, in happiness, helping to solve problems of isolation and just giving people something to look forward to. So it was a great thing to go and visit. I was very, very welcome there, and that was really nice too. And it was a real pleasure to be there for the show. So yeah, pleased to be able to tell you about another amazing program that we've been to see. We got plenty more to tell you about over the next few weeks and months. There's another round of Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund funding to be given out very, very shortly, and we'll be able to tell you who benefits from that in due course. George Gills, 9 without a win before the weekend. Went behind to Newport, won 3-2 deep into injury time. What a game this was.
Crazy game. Newport taking the lead through Michael Spellman from a corner after they mounted some kind of pretty heavy pressure early on. Biggins going close and forcing the corner. And they were good. Like first 15, 20 minutes, Gillingham fans went to this game expecting to have an easy ride against one of the teams assumed to be heading back to the National League, would have had a bit of a shock because Newport County were a better team. They started to kind of find a foothold in the game during the first half, and when Conor Masterson headed them level, it was probably deserved. The second half was, but certainly started as Gillingham in the ascendancy, and Josh Andrews missed quite a good chance from close range, and then a minute later missed one of the biggest open goals you're likely to see. It's one of those where like it's an open goal and he is 1 yard out, but the ball is fired. He's a big lad, but the ball's fired at kind of thigh height, and he's obviously had to try and get over it, and he's made the contact, but has just managed to balloon it over the bar from basically underneath the bar. It's unfortunate, and he would have felt absolutely miserable when Cameron Antwi put Newport 2-1 up with 5 or so minutes to go. But worry not, Josh, who I think had come off by this point, so I was watching on the bench, because there was a late show to come. Armani Little converted a penalty to make it 2-2 before Gareth McCleary with a brilliant header. Ball swung in from the left-hand side. McCleary between two defenders, times his jump perfectly, absolutely no chance of a foul, and heads it off the underside of the bar to cause pandemonium. And that wasn't it either, because I think there were about 60 minutes of injury time here, and Newport had a couple more opportunities to find an equaliser, but weren't able to find it. On the balance of play, Gillingham deserved it, but there's no denying that Christian Fuchs and Newport fans and their team will be so frustrated they managed to find a way to put themselves in position to snatch an away win, and what a huge away win that would have been. But we're undone twice late on to lose the game. There are definite signs of life at Newport at the moment, for them to go away from home to Gillingham, to have 22 shots, to have 7 shots on target. It's all trending in the right way, but they've got to find a way to see games out, and they were unable to do that here. Big win for Gillingham. You probably feel like had Gillingham lost this game, had it finished 2-1 to Newport, I think we probably would have seen questions started to be posed. Gareth Ainsworth and his coaching staff, because that's a long time to go without a win. It does feel like his time away from the club with that heart surgery has really impacted their season. They're in such a good place when that happened, and then when he came back, things were obviously a bit more difficult, and he hasn't been able to turn them around. But this is a huge win for them, and I think teams like Bristol Rovers and Crawley, who are just above the relegation zone and didn't win on the weekend, would have been mightily relieved to see Gillingham score twice.
Yeah, Grimsby 1, Barnet 0. This was 11th against 12th. Very, very bizarre red card incident. It's kind of the main thing to talk about. Grimsby are on the counter-attack, and in the middle of the park, off the ball, Joe Kizzy kind of took out Evan Curry. It was probably a yellow card off the ball foul, but it wasn't violent or anything like that. Then as Curry is trying to get up off the floor, Idris Kanu runs past him and sort of catches him. I mean, there's been so much CSI style analysis of this video by Barnet fans that like the zoom ins are so grainy that it's very hard to tell exactly what Idris Kanu does. I've seen it described as a violent elbow. I'm not sure I'd be willing to go quite that far. Even so, Joe Kizzy got sent off, straight red. And like, there's no way what he did was a red card offence. It's hard to say if what Kanu did was a red card offence, but Kanu wasn't sent off and Kizzy was. All very messy, gave Grimsby a massive advantage. They made the most of it in the second half. You're always going to be able to play in a way that gives you an extra man when you have an extra man. And they did it eventually with Jaden Sweeney, Grimsby's left back, playing right back, the extra man on the far side, cutting in and firing low and hard into the corner with his left foot. And I'm Michael, who's a Grimsby fan on the squad. Like, this is quite remarkable. The stats on Jaden Sweeney and Grimsby so far this season. He has started 15 of their league games, in which they've got 33 points, so well over 2 PPG, 10 wins, 3 draws, and only 2 defeats. He missed 10 games. They drew 4, lost 6, didn't win any for 4 points, 0.4 points per game when he missed. So basically, Jaden Sweeney's the most important player in the whole league, is what I'm saying there.
Maybe.
I would have liked to have seen this game 11v11 for 90 minutes, but regardless, that's not what we got. Important win for Grimsby, and they move up the table. George, Oldham 2, Cheltenham 1.
Yeah, Cheltenham took the lead in this one.
Oldham against Cheltenham. Which would I rather? Cheltenham, probably.
You don't want Oldham. Unless it's been like aged, maybe.
Dry aged ham.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Is that a thing?
Give me the old ham, please.
Yeah, nice. Cheltenham took the lead through a penalty converted by Thomas. And then Joe Garner kind of inspired Oldham, fought back.
Get Garner on the plane.
He's 30,
not that one.
He's 37 years old.
Yeah, I know.
That kind of surprised me.
Wow.
He's been around a long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, he scored the goal to make it 2-1 to Oldham, and then set up the second to make it 2-1. Oldham, I think, did well here to kind of fight back after after going behind. They're a team that have maybe, if you could accuse them of something, it would probably be not finding ways to get what they deserve out of games. But this was a much better performance from them. And yeah, I mean, for Cheltenham, I think Cottrell's done such an amazing job to lead them to where they are now. They're on 30 points in 18th. They're 6 points clear of Barrow in 19th. It feels like it's often very hard to kind of draw lines in league tables as to where battles start and begin. But I think in League Two, you can basically draw underneath Cheltenham now. I'd be amazed if they were sucked back into it. They'd have to go on a long losing run. And under Cottrell, it doesn't really feel like that's going to be the case, even if the underlying numbers are still pretty alarming. But Oldham, a team that are kind of moving the right way now. Too many draws this season. But this was one where they managed to convert into 3 points and a decent result as well. Sorry, a decent performance as well.
The old oversized wardrobe. Too many draws. 20th. This is his 20th season as a professional, Joe Garner. That's incredible.
Good on him.
06, 07.
And he still doesn't lack the passion.
Oh, good God.
He's loving it.
Scored 5 for Carlisle in League One, 06, 07.
Wow.
Funnily enough, 140 league goals in his career, only 5 in League Two. 3 of them this season.
Maybe that's why he was so excited about scoring. He's like, I need to up my League Two tally.
Yeah, he's got 80 in League One, 42
wow.
in the Champ, a 7 in the Scottish Prem. I do not remember him playing for
National
Rangers.
League? National
16,
League?
17, and 6 in the National League.
Last season.
Some of them were over the last 2 previous seasons.
Yeah,
yes.
nice.
Now, Shrewsbury 1, Harrogate 0. Absolutely massive for Shrews. Big Shrews. Jack Evans' red card, quite important to talk about, at 0-0. Important midfield player for them. He kind of dribbled the ball out of play, got quite annoyed, picked up the ball, turned and ran off, then remembered you can't run off with the ball, so chucked it away from the Shrews player that wanted to take a quick throw. Got a second yellow, got sent off. I mean, it's annoying, isn't it? And you might argue that the ref didn't really need to do that, but he does delay the restart. Like, there's no real doubt about that. So not very smart from Evans. The sort of thing that doesn't help when your team have lost 11 of 15 league games and are playing away at a relegation rival, and it's 0-0 at the time. What also doesn't help is a handling error from your keeper, young Henry Gray, who made some really good saves before this, and I want to make that very clear, but Perry's long shot, it was well struck, it was relatively powerful, but he had a lot of time to see it, he got hands to it, and he just pushed it inside the side netting rather than around the post for a 1-0 win for Shrewsbury. Now, as Hugh wrote in Weekend Notes, Shrewsbury are doing just enough, right? This was their 5th win of this season, 3 of them 1-0 home wins against the teams in 22nd, 23rd and 24th. They have, if very little else, good timing, Shrewsbury, and that's what has them now. How many points above the zone? 4. Thanks very much for listening to and/or watching the League Two recap, and what an interesting weekend it was. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and join us again next week on Not the Top 20 podcast. Thank you to Sky Bet and the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund for sponsoring it. Make sure you check out the videos from the evening that I spent in Bristol, which I explained. You can find those on our Instagram page. Cheers, and go well.